Let's talk a little bit about Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. It has a free trial up to level 60 that does include the critically acclaimed Heavensward expansion.
And also the players are added again, which, you know, in a lot of situations you would expect an added again to be a negative thing. But in this case, it's them going, there was a human who was very important to this game, and they have passed, so it's time to pay them some respect in game, which is testament to how nice a world it is and how the community come together in moments like that.
Yeah, it's just a nice, touching moment.
So there's the Heavensward character called Edmont de Frotemps, was voiced by Stephen Critchlow, and he recently, unfortunately, passed away at the very young age of 54. And much like how back when Kentaro Miura died, the author of the Berserk manga, which has been a massive influence on kind of Japanese media culture, and specifically the Dark Knight job, people formed vigils. So again, they did the same thing here, where they put on the House Frotemps kite shield, representing the house that the man was in service of and was in charge of, and then set up a little campfire for themselves, lined up. And it is, it's, you know, it's just a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing to do for everyone to come together.
It's one of those things where, you know, it just makes, in a way, like it makes the work feel bigger. And, you know, like, not just like it truly is a world. And in the same way that in the physical realm, people will hold a vigil. It's a big shared thing in a digital world. Well, you can do a bigger visual. You know, everybody can come together in paying respect. So it's just a nice thing. You know, it's a nice thing. It's a good thing that happened. And I mean, man, yeah.
Yep, certainly something.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not really sure what else to say, but
no,
it's good stuff. Good stuff. We wanted to call it out because it's just, you know, good that that's happening. I think people should know.
Absolutely.
Should absolutely know. Now, for Final Fantasy XIV, there has been a fair amount happening. They had their jobs trailer. There was, of course, the live letter from the producer.
So we are very much gearing up for Endwalker, essentially, because that is a. Let me just check the Twitter account. Twitter days until Endwalker. Christ, I really should use a calendar instead of this, but let's see what's the most recent. 55 days until it enters early access. So we're getting very, very close. And as a result, we've got, if you want to throw into the job updates there.
All right, let's roll.
We've got the live letter and the job actions trailer. But they come out with going, yep, it's about time. Get excited. But it wasn't the case of, you know, hello everyone, here is everything that is coming up. They went, here's the job actions trailer, and we'll explain some stuff. Some of it because it's not finished, but some of it also because they're like, you know what? We're going to try to do this a little bit in a fun way so the community can have fun as well. At least I think so. That's what it is. But I'll kind of run through the overall changes first, which is the order here is a little bit kind of out, and I've selected things from the changes that I think will be kind of more widely obvious and more widely interesting. There's a lot of minutiae that I won't get into here because it's realistically not my place without spending a lot of time looking at it, because you know how people are. They have they checked every they checked every frame of the job actions trailer for interesting things.
Yes.
And I mean literally people looking at final frames to see if there was a circle underneath an ability to check something. That's Matt in our RFC doing that. But
good man.
Yeah, but people going over like every single second of every single tooltip in Japanese, translating it, trying to piece together exactly how Summoner plays, for example. But it's a fun time. So one of the first things that I thought was really interesting is them codifying existing player behavior, because they've taken the idea that the players have been using recently, which is the barrier healer and the pure healer kind of separation, where you want someone to have strong healing throughput, and then you want someone for barriers to make sure that tanks can eat tank busters safely. You know, add a barrier on top of healing, people are safer overall. So it's really it's interesting that was kind of, because I mean, it happens in World of Warcraft as well, where people will take, mitigation and they'll also take good healing, that kind of thing. Well, I mean, Holy Paladins do both, so they win. But they've now made it for the, in Endwalker, for the Raid Finder, the queue will actually take into, like the automated queue will take into consideration the difference between a pure healer and a barrier healer. Even though it's like, it's not represented anywhere in game, it's just, this is how the system works now. You guys have been playing it this way, so we'll update the system to match how you've been playing it because you've figured it out. Which is the split between the, there's 2 healers that are pure healers and 2 healers that are barrier healers. So it's like a minor thing, but it's like kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, really, really cool overall.
There's going to be more balanced groups for everyone. So.
Yep. So it's really, really nice. Then there's the Party Finder updates, which is basically, to sum it up, they're adding weapon coffers to trials. So one of the things that, stop me if any WoW player finds this familiar, but a lot of stuff that drops in coffers.
Yeah.
Which is not an item itself, but it is something you use, and it will give you an item for the class, for the job that opened it. So it's a token in that sense.
Yeah.
So trials usually just drop weapons. So if a weapon drops, and say it's a weapon for a job that isn't in the group, or it's a weapon for a job for someone who already has it, shit out of luck. Someone has to take it for an alt or take it to desynth for crafting material, something like that. But now they're like, just drop a coffer as well. So then they've just increased the amount of loot and reduced the amount of times where loot is bad. So I think it's just one of those really small things that's really, really nice. Mm-hmm. And then there's one of the big things that I think, you'd be surprised, and I imagine once we get into Endwalker a little bit and we're playing it, we'll kind of go, what the fuck, how was this not already in the game? Procs that are displayed via buffs are now a separate category. So in the game, you've got the status bar, which shows all buffs and debuffs. You can split that up into buffs and debuffs. You can kind of show them up separately. I think they call them enhancements and enfeeblements. Now there's conditionals, which are basically your proc buffs. So you can have, instead of having to parse where your straight shot ready as a bard or where your thunder procs are as a black mage, you can now put them somewhere else on your HUD.
Nice.
Which is a minor thing, something in World of Warcraft we've solved via add-ons a million years ago. Yep. But because of the lack of those, there they are now in Endwalker going forward, which is just nice. And then they've also copied from World of Warcraft again, believe it or not, with ground targeting. Because one of the things I found really, really bloody frustrating about Shukuchi, which is the ninja movement ability, is that ground targeting in FF is really, really quite bad.
That's not a fun one to use in a controller.
Yeah. I mean, it might still be worse on a controller, but anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, it's quite bad in the sense of, in World of Warcraft, for example, your mouse snaps to the range. So you never click out of range and the game throws an error. That's not the case in FF. You can, if you're like 1 pixel further than your max range, your click won't work. And then you've just died because you were greedy and waited to the last second. So you have to actually, manually be in the right place. But because people don't like change, they've also kept an option to turn it back to the way it used to work. But they're adding it, so now it stays within the range, so you can't fuck up your click. You'll always go max range, and you can just press the button again instead of clicking, which might be a little bit faster and a little bit nicer, which is very, very nice.
Good.
Very, very nice. Absolutely.
Stat Squish.
That one's going to be fun because this is the first time it's happened in this game. So at least, I think they've made some changes before, of course, but this is the first big stat squish. So everyone's like, "Oh, are you going to destroy the balance of old content?" Shit. We've seen that happen somewhere else, but they're very much promising. We're going to go over everything and make sure nothing feels out of whack because so much of old content is valuable. So they're going to stat squish, and hopefully this helps some. Based on how they seem to run into some architectural problems with numbers and statistics and very specific memory allocations, hopefully this helps both readability at the end of Endwalker and also helps substantially for the, for any technical issues they might have. It reminds me of the World of Warcraft stuff where it's, why is like Preach's hypothesis where roll a dice, easy. That's how the game used to work. Now it's roll 1,000 dice every interaction. That's why lags are,
because designer doesn't really know what to do for a new thing. So random proc. let's have another one that you won't notice, but will probably tax servers a whole bunch more.
Yep.
Fun.
Absolutely. And then one of the last overall changes is the belts are gone.
Yeah.
Belts are gone. That's completely and utterly insane. Like, it's such radical thinking as far as I'm concerned that it's like you're just removing an item from the game. Like, you're literally, oh, this is what you've always been wearing. Did it serve a purpose? Was there a reason for it?
That stick.
Yeah, it was literally just stats because there's no visual. It's basically outside of the soul crystal, it's the only item that doesn't have an appearance.
Yeah.
So they're like, why the hell is it? Why is it there?
Yeah.
We'll just remove it. And they're handling it reasonably well, where they're going, okay, if you've got belts, you can keep them and sell them, whatever else, or desynth them, whatever else. If they're on your character, well, you can pick them up again if you want. They're not being removed from the game like database wise. It's just they're no longer part of the game going forward. And also they're doing that for they're using this ability to keep the armory chest cleaner, because one of the things is the armory chest has a limited number of slots per item. But with extra jobs coming in, you're going to need more. Not going to need more gear per se, because they'll use existing gear sets, but they'll need new weapons. And I think it'll only be like 2 extra slots, but it's still enough to kind of tilt the balance towards if you have every job weapon and every combat job and every crafting and gathering job, that's going to have no room for you to pick up another weapon. So like, right, we'll reallocate the memory there, throw loads more extra stuff in, and it's just, really quite nice.
Yep, serves no purpose in the game, gives you more armory chest room, so kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And that's
we've got the Ethernet UI.
Yeah, the Ethernet UI is
better.
Very nice. It does look better. I'd like to see what it's like in game in terms of functionality wise.
Yeah.
But because all we literally saw was this and a little bit of talk about it, but it's just the idea of, yep, there you go. There you go. We've just made this change.
Yeah.
I suppose I should address why Lulu from Final Fantasy X is there. And I think it might be obvious. I said Tetsuya Nomura is bound to be furious, but yeah.
I wonder.
Yeah, Nomura is one hell of a fella. He's the character designer for a lot of Final Fantasy stuff in the past, and that man loves his belts. So now Final Fantasy games removing belts. There you go.
Yeah.